Hello crafty friends, it's Tawny P here and welcome to this video. What I'm going to talk about today is this beautiful set of stamps and dies, and it's the Tonic Studios the latest stamp club, and this one is called I Love You Very Much. So it's all about magical, sparkly fairies, woodland things. It's absolutely gorgeous. So what we'll do, we'll have a little look at what you're getting, then we'll have a little look at some of the cards I've done, and then at the end we'll do a little bit of colouring. Okay, so I'm looking at the stamps. Loads and loads of sentiments. That's the first thing that I saw. And, you know, I mean, these are perfect for so many things, and you can split them up. So you've got have a fairy, nice day. You could miss out the fairy and just put have a nice day. And on the last Poppy video, Stamp Club video I did, I showed you how to sort of mask off certain words so you can still have a nice long border if you wanted it. So you've got that. You've got hey friend, you sparkle, sending magic your way, happy birthday. I love the font. Happy birthday. You're such a fun guy, which should go nicely with your toadstool. I love you very much. Make a wish and wishing you a magical day. So some really, really nice sentiments. But you've also got, you've got three fairies. You've got one that's flying. You've got one that's kind of, well, she if you grounded her with some grass or something, or stood her on the rock or the toadstool, she could be stood up, or she could just be hovering. And then you've got this little cutie here who's sitting down, and she's just screaming to be sat on top of this toadstool. You've also got some gorgeous grass, woodlandy sort of grass. You've got a nice little collection of flowers and leaves, which, you know, that could do for get well, thinking of you, loads and loads of things you could do with that. You've got a single flower, quite a big flower, and I really like this. One of the cards you'll see in the little showcase that I put together, I've just used that, and it's a doddle to colour. In fact, you wouldn't even have to colour it if you didn't want to. You could just do it in black and white, and it's really, really nice. What else haven't we done? Oh, the little toadstool, which is so cute. We've got I don't know what you call it, like a starburst sort of thing. So you could put that round one of you've got two little dragonflies that could go around there. You've got some like fairy dust here, which if you stamp that in a real pale colour, it looks so nice. Maybe add a little bit of sparkle, add a bit of glitter. So those are our stamps. Oh, and the rock. I've forgotten the rock. So you've got a nice little stone which your fairy could sit on or stand on. Then we've got some dies, obviously, to go with them. So the biggest one, you've got a nice rectangle, and then to go with that, you've got a really, really useful sort of scene with all sorts of plants, and it's like a little woodland glade. Now, you can just colour, leave it white if you want, and back it onto, use this for I don't know, say a green, cut that out in green, then cut this out in white, and then just put them together, and straight away it just looks stunning. Just put a sentiment in the middle if you wanted. You've got you are magic with dies. Then you've got your stamps. So this one will cut out, I always get these the wrong way around, there we go. So that one will cut out her like that. Let me flip this over. Then you've got this one here, and that's to cut out our little sitting down fairy there. Really sweet. Then you've got, who are you here? You've got this one here to cut out our little flying fairy. And then you've got this one here, which is for the flowers, and I'll get this the wrong way around for sure. Which way? It goes that way, doesn't it? Of course it does, silly Billy. So that's for your flowers. And I've said this on the last video, they really do cut out beautifully. Some stamps and dies I've used in the past, they don't seem to give a nice even border, but these do. Then we've got our flower, so that will cut out our flower if we can get that in the right place. You've just got to sort of twizzle it round till it, there we go, that'll cut out that one. Then we've got 2 little dragonfly dies, so that will do your smaller one and your next size up one. They're really pretty. And then what happened? Oh, our rock. I keep forgetting about the rock. Now the rock's in 2 parts. So you've got this bit here, which doesn't cut out, but it embosses. So you could cut that out. So you could cut your rock out like that. And then you could lay that over the top and you'll get a really, really nice, really deep emboss. And the same thing goes with the toadstool. So you've got your actual toadstool shape there, which you could just cut out. You could also use it to really emboss, let's put that straight like that, to really emboss like the, I don't know what they're called, the spot things on the toadstools. Honestly, I'm hopeless. But equally, you could cut that out and you could equally use that as a stencil. That'd work. And finally, you've got some grasses here, which they don't, does that one cut? Yeah, I think that one doesn't cut that one out, but you can cut a grass in its own right. And then you've got this one here, which is another grass. So you could use those 3 together to create some really nice foliage to sit your fairies in. Okay, so those are the dies and the stamps. So what we'll do now is we'll have a little look at the cards that I've made, and then we'll come back and we'll do a little bit of colouring. I'll see you in a second. Okay, so those are the a couple of the samples that I've done, and we'll do a little bit of colouring now. So what I thought I'd do, I'd just take just a few moments to just go through some basics, just in case there are people that are quite new to stamping watching this. So I'm just going to talk about the pens, talk about the ink, and then we'll get on with the colouring. I'll put some timings in the description so you can skip this bit if it's, you know, if you're a bit more experienced. So these are the things I'm going to use. This is the stamping platform. If you've not got one of these and you're new to stamping, honestly, it's the best thing ever. So you basically put your cardstock, and the cardstock does need to be, well, the right cardstock for what you're using. I'm actually using alcohol pens, so I want a super smooth cardstock. If I was using watercolour pens or pencils, then I'd need watercolour card, because that would not work with this type of card. But then you put your card so it lines up in that corner. Use the 2 magnets provided, and that will anchor down your card. And then you put your stamp where you want it, and you're going to put your stamp with the etch side facing down onto your paper, and then close the lid. Give it a little press, and when you lift it up, try and get it in shot, the stamps stuck to that side. Now there are 2 different sides. There's this one and there's this one. This one's for clear side, and you'll know because it's got clear here. And if you take it, if you've got like a rubber stamp, you just turn that round like that. Anyway, So that's that. Let me pop it back. It just snaps in. So we've done that. We put our, oops, dropped a pen. Put our stamp on there, and I'm just going to ink it up now. The ink I always use is our Nuvo hybrid ink pad, and it takes all the guesswork out. Close your lid and then just give it a little bit of a gentle rub. I've seen people really pressing and it's just so unnecessary. Okay, I'm quite happy with that, but if I wasn't and I wanted it a bit darker, all I need to do is to apply a bit more ink, close the lid again, and it's always going to line up. Give it that little gentle press, and there we go. Okay, so that's our stamping platform. Let me just move these out of the way. So get yourself some of this awesome ink if you're just going to start. Well, even if you are an experienced colourer, sorry, can't get my words out again. So this is really useful to have, because you don't have to think about what you're going to need. Right, the pens. So the pens I'm going to use, might as well colour this now I've stamped it. The pens I'm going to use are the new the Nuvo Alcohol Markers, and you'll notice they look a bit different. So this is the new set, but they're the same. You've got your chisel end here, so for colouring sort of large areas quickly, and you've got your bullet tip end here, if you can see that. Put it against something white, there you go, and that'll allow you to get in all the little nitty-gritty details. So they're lovely pens. They come in sets. Well, I think they'll be coming out in sets of 3, but don't quote me on that. So what I thought we'd do, we'll colour this. We'll start with a really easy one. Before we do, I'm just going to show you this. My pens get filthy. You see that? They're always filthy dirty. I've usually got ink all over me. Best thing to clean is anti-bac hand gel. Just put a little bit of the gel on a piece of kitchen roll and wipe, and it will clean that beautifully. Okay, so that's just a little tip. Right, so let's go on and just do some colouring. Now, you'll have to excuse me, I hope my head won't get in shot. I tend to colour very close to my images, but I'll do my best not to get my wig in the way of the camera. And the 3 colours I'm going to use here are 391, which is butternut squash, which is that one. I'm going to use 393, which is spiced orange, and I'm going to use 405, which is Indian saffron. So those are the 3 pens we're going to use. Okay, I'll have to sit down, so bear with. Okay, so as I say, I do apologise. I'll try not to get into the way of the camera. So I'm going to use the bullet tip, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prime the card. This is an important step that a lot of people leave out. And literally, I'm going to take probably the lightest colour, and I'm just going to colour it. Just colour that area in like that, okay? And that's priming the card, okay? Like that. Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over with the medium colour, and in this case it's butternut squash. So I'm going to put some detail on this side. I'm not going to worry too much about over there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of colour like that. And while it's still wet, I'm going to get my 393 spiced orange, and I'm going to go over that bit, but I'm not going to go as far as where I've ended, if that makes sense. I'll lift it up to the camera in a second and I'll show you. So just adding a little bit of colour like that. Let me lift this up and show you. And you can see. So we've gone dark, medium, light, if that makes sense. Now I want to sort of try and get rid of any harsh lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my medium colour again, which is butternut squash 391, and I'm going to go over the darker colour, the spiced orange, and I'm going to go over almost to where I oops, wrong one, almost to where I did it last time. Then I'm going to finally take my lighter colour, my 405 Indian Saffron, and I'm just going to do little tiny circular motions all over that. And you'll find that what that will do is it will sort of soften any harsh lines. Let me lift it up again and you can see. Can you see that? Okay. Now what I like to do when there's white involved is I like to just add a little bit of grey. So I'm just going to go over with a 485, which is feather grey. That's one of the lighter greys. And I'm just going to literally just go around these areas. These pens dry lighter. So, oh, squeak, squeak. Just literally going round the area like that. Oops, there we go, I'm in shot. So you'll find, although you can see sort of lines there, you'll find that when that dries, they'll kind of disappear. If you're still not happy with them and you can still see them, your best thing for that is the one that's dropped on the floor. Bear with while I pick it up. And that's 507, which is your blender pen. This is just a clear, colourless pen. And if you go over those areas, it will soften them. Okay. So that's an easy way to colour one of the flowers. This is one I did before, and I've actually put quite a bit of grey on that one. You will notice when you look at the back of your work that you've got that little bit of colour coming through, and that's absolutely fine. It's quite normal. Okay, so that's our flower. Right, should we do a mushroom now? We'll do a mushroom. Toadstool, beg your pardon. Let me just pop my pens away, get them out of the way. And the pens I'm going to use for this are, I'm going to use 377, which is fresh watermelon, and 381, which is black cherry for the top. And then for the stalk and the actual top of the toadstool, I'm just going to use some, upside down, sweet vanilla. Okay, so, I'm going to use something else as well. I'm going to use, I need something a bit darker in there, so let's add a little bit of 466 and 478. Okay, so let me sit down again and we'll start with the stalk first. So again, I'm going to prime, and I'm going to use the 473 to prime. Just put some colour on like that. And then the areas I want to sort of darken are going to be the areas really underneath the cap and underneath this first bit of the stalk. So I think what I'm going to do is, let's go in with 466 now, and just a little tiny bit underneath here, just like that. And then I'm going to go over again with my 473, just tiny little circles. So that ink's being wet. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same on the top. I've changed my mind. I'm not going to add any of that brown sugar 478. I'm going to stick with this. Just let's stick with two colours. And just dotting that colour on there. Quite important to use your two colours together when the ink's still wet. It's harder to get a smoother finish if you let it dry, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm literally just stroking that colour down, and I think what I might do is just reapply that under there. So this is going back in with the 466, just little dots of colour underneath that first bit of the stalk, and then I'm going to do the same again with my 473, my sweet vanilla, just tiny, tiny, tiny little circular bits like that. Okay, and again I'll lift this up and you can see it. Okay, so it's quite subtle. Now I'm going to do the top. I won't do all of the top, but I'll do some of it to show you. So firstly, sweet vanilla again, and I'm just going to colour in the circles. I'm not going to do too much with these circles, these little dots on the top. I don't know what they're called. Toadstool dots. I'm sure there's a name for them. Okay, now the thing to remember with these pens is that the more times you go over one area, the darker your colour will be. So that's just something to bear in mind. And my primer colour in this instance is 377. So I'm just going to, and I'm going to do this area by area. Okay. Now this is where it could, red, if it's ever going to go wrong, it's red. It's like when you put a red sock in with your whitewashing. There we go. So I'm just going to concentrate on that little area like that first. Then I'm going to go over with the black cherry, which is 381, and I'm literally just going to add a little bit here and a little bit there like that. Then I shall go back over with fresh watermelon and do that little circular thing and soften the join, if that makes sense. Squeak, squeak. And you can repeat that as many times as you like. So let's just go and do a little bit more on this bottom bit here. Gently Bentley with these. Okay, and then we'll go in and add a little bit of the black cherry, just like that, and then back again with fresh watermelon to soften those lines. Like so. Now I'd probably do that another once or twice. You can see that red has just gone into that area there and there, so that's because I'm not sitting close enough, so I do apologise for that. So that's let's lift it up and you can see that's that there. So you can see, you just see a little bit of depth around the outside. So I'd carry on and do that, and I usually have one to hand, so this is one I've done earlier, but today I haven't, so I'm sorry about that. But you'll probably see it in the samples that I've done. Okay, next thing, which is I get asked about this all the time, skin tones. So I'm going to colour this little soul here, and I'm just going to concentrate on her face and her neck. And the three colours I'm going to use are 473, 476 and 477. And this is another little tip. If you're wondering about the colours, especially this, because I can cut it out, stamp it on a piece of card that's maybe, well, this is very much too big. And then as you're going, you can just, you quite often see when I'm colouring, you'll see me with, and it'll just give you an idea of the three colours. Okay, so as I've done with the other two, I'm going to go in with my 473 and I'm going to prime her little face. Like that. I'll do her neck as well because it's a small area. Usually I just concentrate on the one area. Now the next colour I'm going to go in with is my 476, which is ginger peach, and just literally under her hairline, literally just under there like that, I'm just going to stroke some colour on like that. Okay, just like that, so her hair's giving her a bit of casting a shadow. Then I'm going to, like I did with the flower at the beginning, I'm going to add some 477, but I'm not going to go quite to the edge of where I stopped with that last colour, and I'm just literally, tell you what, should we put a light on? Might help. There we go. Just literally a little bit more colour. Then going back over with my 476 Ginger Peach, I'm just going to soften what I've just done like that, maybe come down the side a little bit, and then I'm going to go back over with my 473 and smooth out the join, if that makes sense. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same with the neck, but I'm only going to add a tiny bit of colour. You know, people ask me all the time about adding highlight and depth and shade. If it's a small area, I just really wouldn't bother. So for example, on this little sole here for her hands, I would literally just, I wouldn't even try. I might just right on the wrist do something, but there's tiny little areas, so I just tend to leave those. Okay, so, and I can go over and I can do that again just to darken it a bit more if I just stroke on a little bit more depth of colour like that. And then the mid-tone over the top, and then the lighter tone to finish. So it's basically light, medium, dark, and then you come back. So light, medium, dark, medium, light. And that's it really. Okay, so that's the skin. And here's one while that's drying, which I sort of did. I've done a bit of her hair as well on that. She's not finished yet. So I was just playing with the grounding on her. So that's basically the way I found I'll get really kind of good results from these pens. So prime your card with your lighter colour, go in with your medium, add your dark, back with your medium, and then finish with your light. Try that and see how you get on. And also just remember to try and not let it dry in between your layers. These pens are layering pens rather than blending pens, which is what, when I say that, I mean if you go over it over and over the same area, that colour will build up. You can actually use that to good effect. So you don't need to have 50 million different colours. You can just use one colour to get several shades, if you like, several darker shades. Hope that makes sense. I sound a bit like I'm confusing myself there, but anyway, there you go. I will start doing a couple of colouring videos because I think people like to see them, and I hope you found that useful. So I'll see you again soon, but until then, thanks for stopping by. Take care and stay safe and well. Bye.